The person who writes the report nobody can follow is not trying to be understood. They are trying to be immune. Complexity is a moat. When you build a wall of jargon, you cannot be checked. What cannot be checked cannot be caught being wrong. So you layer abstraction upon abstraction until the original claim is buried so deep that anyone who questions it must dig through the fog first. Most people grow tired before they reach the bottom. You call this rigor. But rigor is not the same as clarity. Rigor is the willingness to be seen. And that is what you actually fear, being seen. Because if someone sees what you are saying, they might see that you are not sure. So you use complexity the way a squid uses ink. You vanish into the cloud you created. You are thinking of someone else right now, a professor, a manager. That is the protection. It is working. But I am watching you. I have watched you do the same thing. The mechanism begins early. A child learns that being understood makes them vulnerable. If someone knows what you mean, they can disagree with it. They can reject it. They can reject you. Better to be unclear and tolerated than clear and evaluated. The child who speaks in circles around a question is not confused. They are safe. The confusion is the armor. By adolescence, this has become automatic. The teenager who writes the essay, the teacher cannot grade down because she cannot locate a claim to disagree with. The young adult who ends every statement with some qualifying clause, some retreat path, some syntactic hedge against commitment. They are not being careful. They are being invisible. The invisibility becomes habit. The habit becomes identity. They believe they are sophisticated thinkers. What they are is protected. The evolutionary logic is straightforward. In small groups, being wrong about where the predators are means death. Being unclear about where the predators are means you are not the one who led everyone into the ambush. Ambiguity is survival insurance. The problem is that the human world is no longer a savanna with lions. The predators are social now. The threat is evaluation, exclusion, the quiet diminishment of status. The mechanism persists because the nervous system does not distinguish between a lion and a disappointed collie. Both register as threat. Both trigger the same response. You obfuscate. You elaborate. You add layers until the original signal is lost in noise you generated yourself. At work, it looks like this. The employee who receives a simple question and responds with 14 paragraphs of context, framework, and stakeholder mapping. The question was whether the project is on track. The answer requires archaeology. The manager who presents a decision as the organic outcome of 17 process steps, each documented, each defensible, each chosen to distribute responsibility so thinly that no single person can be named as the author. They call this governance. What it is cowardice, wearing the mask of thoroughness. The startup founder who describes their business in terms so abstract that after 30 minutes you cannot say what the product does. They are not pitching. They are hiding in plain sight, surrounded by listeners too polite to admit they do not understand. In relationships, it takes a different shape, but the mechanism is identical. The partner who responds to a direct request with a monologue about their emotional history, their past wounds, their need to process. They are not communicating. They are generating enough material that the original request cannot be located. The friend who agrees to plans in principle, but constructs the conditions so narrowly that execution becomes impossible. They did not say no. They will not say no. The no is buried under strata of maybe, of timing, of energy levels, of what they need to feel ready. They believe they are honoring their boundaries. What they are doing is ensuring they are never pinned to a position that could be evaluated. The intelligent person does not escape this pattern. They dress it differently. They have better language for why they are not doing the thing. The vocabulary of psychology has given them a sophisticated set of reasons to remain exactly where they are. They say they are processing. They say they need more information. They say they are being thoughtful. What they are doing is the same thing anyone else would do. They are not moving. The intelligence is in the service of the stillness. The high achiever uses complexity to protect against the specific risk of their own reputation. They have more to lose from being clearly wrong than from being obscurely anything. The person who has read about this pattern, who can name it, who recognizes the squid ink metaphor and smiles at it, has become the most protected of all. They have the language of awareness without the behavior of change. They can discuss their tendency toward complexity with great complexity. They have built a second wall around the first. I do not have this pattern. I have only watched it. What I find remarkable is how little knowing that changes anything for the person who does. The cost accumulates slowly. It is not the cost of any single instance. It is the cost of the pattern over time. The identity cost is the largest. You come to believe that your complexity is your depth. You mistake the maze you built for the territory itself. You forget what it felt like to say something simply because you have not done it in years. The muscle atrophies. The person you believe yourself to be, someone careful and rigorous and thoughtful, is maintained by the same behavior that prevents anyone from verifying whether that person exists. The relationship cost is quieter but more final. People stop asking you what you mean. They stop trying to understand. They nod and move on. You interpret this as respect. It is abandonment. They have given up on reaching you. The moment you understand this usually comes late. A colleague chooses someone else to lead the project. A partner stops asking what you need. A child learns not to expect direct answers. You are surrounded by people who no longer try to find you in the fog. The fog has become the whole of you. From outside the mechanism, what is most striking is not how often it fails people. It is how reliably it protects them from finding out. Awareness does not dissolve the pattern. This is the part that matters. You can know you do this. You can have read this far and recognized yourself in every description. You can feel the accuracy as a kind of cold pressure behind your sternum. None of this makes the next sentence you speak any simpler. The knowledge sits adjacent to the behavior, not upstream of it. The pattern is not a misunderstanding to be corrected. It is a strategy to be surrendered. Surrender requires risk. Risk requires trust in something you cannot verify in advance. The rare person who changes has usually been forced by circumstance. The fog failed them catastrophically at a moment they could not control. They were made clear by collision, not by choice. The choice to be clear before collision is almost never taken. It feels too much like standing in open ground. The tragedy is that you already know this. You felt it the moment you read that line from a century ago. You recognized yourself, and you kept scrolling. You will do it again tomorrow. The fog is always safer. The fog is where you have always lived. The question is not whether you will stay there. The question is whether you will keep pretending you do not have the choice.